This is the story of a man who time traveled from a distant past that came from a time he claimed humans were still intelligent. So what happened then? Here is the story. History has been divided between before Christ or Common Era and after Christ or Common Era, and
as the 21st century began, human evolution was at a turning point. Natural selection, the process by which the strongest, the smartest, the fastest reproduced in greater numbers than the rest, a process which had once favored the noblest traits of man. Most science fiction of the day predicted a future that was more civilized and more intelligent. But as time went on,
after the pandemic of 2020,
things seemed to be heading in the opposite direction.
History was divided before and after the pandemic. After the pandemic got worse in humanity,
began to favor different traits. Down. How did this happen? Evolution does not necessarily reward intelligence. With no natural predators to thin the herd, it began to simply reward those who reproduced the most and left the intelligent to become an endangered species.
Just a couple years before the pandemic of 2020, reality shows were highly criticized as not offering anything to society except to show their daily lives, even if the stepfather was an Olympic gold medal that later turned into Caitlyn Jenner. But that's another story. But after the pandemic of 2020, people had no clue that those reality shows were going to be kept as the last files of human intelligence. Because after 2020, most people started to get amused by unknown individuals that recorded themselves at home doing everyday average tasks and turned them into their idols. Other things that were criticized before the grand pandemic were talents shows. The most evil man remembered in the talent business was Simon Cowell, simply for being too harsh to talent contestants. Like this woman who is trying to impress the judge panel using her own voice. Simon Cowell, at the time, he had no clue that after the pandemic, people, instead of being amazed and entertained by these talented artists, were going to turn their heads into lip syncing. Why using your voice when you can just use your lips? And the less effort, the better. After all, after 2020, the less effort and laziness you'd shown in your work, the most acclaim were by the masses. Like this young, talented artist who created hyper-realistic artwork only got 46 followers. But this young girl, her only effort shown was to take selfies, or herself got 119.8 million followers. Of course, the total intelligence and conscious decline of humankind didn't happen overnight.
But they're at a frightening rate. And intelligence continued to decline until humanity was incapable of solving even its most basic problems, like garbage, which had been stacked for centuries with no plan whatsoever, leading to the Great Garbage Avalanche of 2505, which would set in motion the events that would change the world forever.
And here is the man who claimed wasn't the smartest from where he came from, but thanks to him, humanity has hope again.
So I never knew that your hair grows from up here.
How many moons does the Earth have?
6.
How many states make up the United States? Around how many?
13.
Do you know what country we gained our independence from?
France?
Do you know what the letter O on the periodic table stands for?
Octopus.
Do you know what 3 times 3 times 3 is?
3 times 3 is 6.
Oh, what language the people who live in Idaho speak?
No.
What language do you think they speak? Like, what do they sound like they speak?
I never heard them told, so I don't know.
Do you know what century we're in?
20th?